actually, for every session, what Srinivas is going to record, and Srinivas going to share across with you. So,
okay. So you are also providing the document, right?
Yes, I'll be providing the documents. Like I'll be providing the documents, and the second part is like the thing is, once after the session is over, you have to go ahead and you have to do the practice. Means like
Right.
you are already aware of the system, but still I just wanted you to, because we are going to talk
Exactly.
about the things.
Right.
So we have to do the practice. Then only will mainly in the functional area we just have to keep redoing it. Then only we'll remember. If we just
Exactly.
listen, forget.
Right. I agreed on that. Not an issue.
Yeah. So first, what we are going to do is we are going to talk about the procure to pay side. So we are going to talk about the purchasing side and accounts payable side, and then
Okay.
so which will be covered up into the procure to pay side, and then we are going to see the billing side, the billing, accounts receivable, and the GL side.
Okay.
So I'll apart from this billing, AR, and GL, I will just show you how you can interconnect the customer contracts and the project costing and the billing modules also, like how you can get the data. So if the customer using the project costing contracts module, how you can take the data from there and you can push it up into the billing, and you can create the invoice in the system, and then you can send it for the payments, and then receiving the payments and how we will see it. So first we'll talk about the procure to pay side, then we'll switch to the billing side slowly. Okay.
Okay.
So we'll start now. And Anjani, are you able to hear us? I think you are on mute, Anjani. Like maybe you can just unmute and you can talk.
Yeah, look like.
Hi Sukendra, are you able to hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now, Anjani. Fine, thanks.
Yes, today is the first class, right? I'm sorry?
Yes, this is a very first class.
Oh, okay. So what module you're going to discuss now? Project costing?
So we are going to start with the procure to pay side now. The purchasing and then AP we are going to talk about.
Okay.
Then we are going to see the other end, order to cash management.
Okay.
Now
Okay.
we'll start with the procure to pay side. So
I'm giving.
and along we have Abhishek, so which is going to be with us in this part of training.
Okay.
So Sukendra, can you just give me a little brief description about yourself, like what you, how much years of experience you have, you know, like kind of short of little description.
Sure. So myself, I'm having 9 years of experience on Peoplesoft. So I basically working as a technical lead in one of the organization, and right now have been exposure to the Peoplesoft financials, like the procure to pay side and the order to cash side. So I have implemented a couple of projects. In the implementation of these cycles, I have get a chance to implement a couple of modules. One is purchasing, another one is accounts payable, and then another one is customer contracts, project costing, and billing, accounts receivable, and then GL. And then we have built integrations between the Peoplesoft HRMS and the Peoplesoft Financials. Again, that is about the integration, and it is more of a technical side. And then so this is about me, like so I normally deal with more of a functional training, Peoplesoft functional training, and I have been in this training for the last 3 years.
Wonderful. Because you know, like Sukendra, the last training I did, so I'm teaching the mentor rather than he's teaching me.
Okay.
No, it's fine, it's mutual, because once we discuss it with each other, you come to know a lot of things. So
Yeah,
that is
right.
fine with me, but it should not be completely, okay.
Exactly.
Okay, that's fine, yeah, we can start.
Just one moment. I'm just going to open up one presentation.
Yeah, okay.
So are you guys able to see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So today we are, yeah. So today we are going to talk about the procure to pay side, exactly what happens on the procurement side and what are the departments, how the department handles the procurement, and so what is the business process of the procurement and what are the various approvals enabled in the PeopleSoft, means what was delivered with the PeopleSoft. Then in the later stage, we are going to discuss like if you want to implement the workflow for your own organization with some changes, how you can leverage the functionality of the workflow which is given by the PeopleSoft and how you can modify the workflow things from your end. So we're going to cover that one as well. So coming to the procurement side. So what exactly the procurement talks about? So the procurement talks about that if you take the entire financials, there are two aspects. One is either company or the money. Can you right? Anjali?
Yeah, Sukendra, you're
Yeah,
I'm
can
not.
you mute from your end so that we'll not get echo?
Yes.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. So what exactly the finance consisting of? So company either receives the money or either pays the money. So there will be the money which is coming inside of an organization. There will be money which is going outside of the organization. The procure to pay cycle talks about the money which is going out of the organization, whereas the other end, order to cash side, it talks about the company. It's talking about the money which is coming inside of the organization. Now, so we're going to start ahead with the procure to pay side. In general, normally if I want to buy something in online, let's say I want to buy some goods in Amazon. So I'll just log into the Amazon portal. Then I will search for items, whatever I wanted, and I'll place an order. And then once after the placing an order, I'll go to the payment gateway, and then in the payment gateway I'll pay for the items. Then I will get the items to my address. So in the payment side, I can choose a couple of options. Let's say I can choose cash on delivery, or else I can choose a payment gateway, whereas I can instantly pay to the vendor and then I can get the items. Then once after receiving the items from our end, we will check it out. We will just do the receipt, like we have received the items. Maybe with the consignment department, we will just give our receipt saying that okay, I received these items. Once after that, if it is a cash on delivery, we are going to pay for that item. This is about the how you procure an item in general, in a generic way. But what if I talk in a corporate view, like an organization perspective, what are the things that are involved in order to procure an item? Let's consider one example. You recruited 10 employees inside of your organization. So these 10 employees needs a laptop. So these laptops needs to be provided by the system administrator. So the employee will go and ask the system administrator saying that, hey, I need a laptop. So in case if he's having with him, he will go ahead and he will give it to you. In case if he is not having the laptops, he has to buy it from the outside. So in terms of, if I talk in terms of the system administrator, how the system administrator is going to procure an item from the outside to the organization. So that's what exactly the procure to pay talks about. So the procurement process is consisting of several steps basically. So it starts with the requisition basically. So here in the requisition side, you can create the requisition from the e-procurement also. So there is an advantage with the e-procurement, so that I'll talk about the e-procurement later. So e-procurement, also you can create the requisition. What exactly the requisition consisting of now? So the system administrator needs 10 laptops, out of which, so 6 he want to buy some specific configuration, saying that it's a Lenovo laptops he want to buy. So the configuration is 1 TB and i7 processor and all. And another 4 laptops he want to buy, let's say Dell laptops, which is of 500 GB hard disk and some i3 processor. That is a requisition, and he's going to purchase this specific requisition from different vendors. So now the request. So here, when I'm creating the requisition, so in the requisition, it will be consisting of the requester and who is buying it. Let's say the request is coming from the employee. So when request is coming from the employee, the requester ID is who is requesting that item, and then the buyer is nothing but who is exactly the buying that item. So these informations are needed, and then apart from this, we need a vendor setup to be created in a Peoplesoft. Means, so who is going to provide the things to us, like IBM laptops, Lenovo laptops who is going to provide, and Dell laptops who is going to provide. Now I'll go ahead and register. I'll just create the requisition with the 2 lines basically. The first line saying that I need 6 quantity of Lenovo laptops costing this much. So each Lenovo laptop cost is, let's say $1,500 US dollars, so 9,000 USD, and the remaining 4 Dell laptops, it's like, say, like it's $1,000, the 4,000. So this is a requisition. So this requisition I'll create it in the system, and this requisition process will go through the approval. So this is again the setup that you're going to configure in the Peoplesoft. So this configuration, either you can send this requisition in the parallel way or a sequential way. Sequential way is nothing but, so you get the approval, like if the requisition amount is like, let's say it is 5,000 US dollars, then only the first level is approval is fine enough. If it is more than 5,000, the second level approval is required. Till 50,000. If it is more than 50,000, I need the third level of approval, which is, let's say, like a CFO of the organization, like that. That is nothing but a sequential. And the parallel is nothing but whenever a requisition is created, I have a requirement, it has to route it to multiple persons basically. That is a two different path. One is it needs to route it to the finance person, and another is it needs to route it to the project manager. That I have that requirement. In that case, I can push this one parallelly, whereas I'll get the finance approval and as well as I'll get the project manager approval also. So this is the, now once after it goes through all of these approvals things, the requisition will be approved. Once after the requisition is approved, so we are going to push this requisition to the purchase order. So there is an auto source mechanism which will auto create the purchase orders from the requisition basically. So now my requisition is consisting of two requisition lines. The two requisition lines, the initial 6 quantity is vendor is Lenovo, and again 4 quantity vendor is Dell Corporation, that is a Lenovo Corporation. Now when I auto source this requisition to the purchase order module purchasing, so basically purchasing module creates two POs for the single requisition. So two POs, first PO it will create with the 6 quantity to Lenovo, and second one 4 quantity to Dell. Like that it will create. So this is how it is going to create a purchase orders in the system. Once after this purchase order created in the system, next process is, so basically we are going to send it to the supplier. This we are going to take this purchase order and we are going to send it to the supplier. How we are going to send it? So before sending it to the supplier, we have to freeze this purchase order, basically what we call it as a dispatch method in the Peoplesoft. We are going to run the PO dispatch method. So before that also there is one more thing called approvals. We have various approvals in the which was given by the Peoplesoft. One is PO amount approval and another one is PO chart field approval. PO amount approval, basically it's a checks on the PO amount. Chart fields, it's basically checks based on the distributions that you have given at the PO level. What is the distributions? The distribution is nothing but what is your project code. Means like I need a laptop. So laptop for whom? What is his project ID? What is his department? Where he is working? What is the department ID? What is the operating unit? What is their locations? And what is the account? Account means, so okay, I'm spending this much expense. So to which account? It has to hit. So from which account I had to take out the money. So this all information we will specify in the purchase order level. Once after this one is done, means amount approval and the chart field approval. Once after these two approvals are done, we can dispatch the PO. Without approval is done, you cannot dispatch the PO. And again, these two are optional. If you want to enable it, you can go ahead and enable it. If you don't want it, you can still exclude it. Then we will dispatch this PO to the supplier. So once after supplier receives this specific PO, is going to ship the items to you. And in between, there is a change order or a back order. What is this change or back order? So basically, let's say I created a PO now for a 10 quantity. Then I later realized that I need a PO for like I need 8 Lenovo laptops. So that is a change I want to do. Or else I want to change the amount. Like 1500 to 1200, I want to change the amount. So that I might have such kind of requirement. Then I can do the change order management, whereas I can go ahead and I can change my PO information. Because what happens is, once after you dispatch the PO to the supplier, you'll not be able to modify anything on the PO side. If you want to modify, you use the change or back order and modify the things. Once after you do the change order, again it kicks off all the approval things. Then you dispatch this to the supplier. The suppliers receives the purchase order from his end, and then he will send the goods to you. So that is nothing but the receipt. Along with receipt, he will send the invoice also to us. Now I have received the good. I have received all the laptop. Once after the receiving all the laptops, I'll just inspect like whether the whatever the delivered goods or the specific configuration, whatever I have given, everything I'll just check it out and I will say, okay, everything is proper, and I'll do the inspection on that specific goods. Once of the inspection is done, I'll create a, if there is any problem with the goods, I'll return back to the supplier. So I'll not take that product, I'll return back to the supplier, and this product I will integrate with the asset management. So now I have received the item, then this is actually my asset. So I will integrate this one as my asset in a Peoplesoft. So it will be created as asset. So asset actually will be having a couple of things like depreciation and appreciation. What is the depreciation and what is appreciation? So depreciation, take as a laptop. So like so 5 years back, let's say I bought a laptop for 50,000 rupees. Now if I take, so which is of like, let's say it's a Core i4 processor, and let's say it's like 2 GB RAM, and let's say it's a 160 GB hard disk. If I I brought it like 50,000 5 years back. Now if I consider today the value of, so like it's hardly like 5,000, I can say I can sell it for hardly 5,000. That means after the period of time the value of the asset will be depreciated. That is the depreciation. So how much we have to depreciation on Abhishek?
I don't have any disconnect, but for recording, I think it got disconnected, I guess, probably.
Oh, okay, okay. Anjali, what about you? You got any disconnect or it's okay?
Is she there?
Anjali, are you there? I think you can mute and unmute and can speak up.
Sukendra, this is Anjani. I'm able to hear you, Sukendra.
Thank you.
So Sukendra, my question here is, like you talk about, like after receipt you went ahead with inspection, that is fine. Okay. If anything is there, and if any piece is not correct, or like any laptop, there is any defect, we can go ahead with return to supplier, right?
Exactly.
Basically return to vendor. Return to vendor. So
Exactly.
if you talk about, like asset management, okay, in what case we move the items to asset management, in what case we move the item to inventory? That is my question.
So in what case we will move the items to the asset management is, let's say your organization, like now you're into the IT services, so your organization is procuring the items to maintain your organization, to do the services business. Even though if they are procuring the items, so this is basically the asset management. So this is an asset for an organization. In future, they can sell it basically. The inventory is like, so what is the inventory item is basically, let's say you are owning a car manufacturing company. So in the car manufacturing company, so basically you're building a cars. So like you're manufacturing a cars and you're procuring the items from the outside world. Like say example, you're procuring MRF tiles. So this is basically, so this MRF tiles are required to build your product basically. So this item is an inventory for you. So in inventory, you will be having godems and the stock reports and all. So it will be having the storage area, storage locations, all those stuffs. It will be there in the inventory side. So we will store these items in the inventory module. Like these are the items, and I have received this many items, like 10 quantity and 20 quantity. At the same time, I can consume these items. So how I can consume? I can consume these items for the production for manufacturing, and this one what you call a car, or at the same time I can sell these items also to the outside. So I should keep track of what is my stock level in the company. So that is where it points to the inventory, and asset is you're not going to sell it, you're just going to maintain it. So that is where it is going to come into the asset management.
Okay. So in short, like anything which you are pushing to inventory, that is basically not just selling. It's basically like reduction of the inventory basically.
Exactly. So there will be ups and downs in the
Right.
stock, and then so you will get the alert, means like the supervisor of storage locations will get an alert saying that hey, your stock is down by this percent. In
Right.
case you want to order something now, like that. So
My
so he will order things from the PO, and then he will procure the item and he will push it into the inventory.
Okay. So my second question is which you talked very interestingly, and I have never seen in Peoplesoft so far. You talk about like depreciation and appreciation. Okay. So
Yeah.
we generally know like appreciation of land happens and this, but I have never seen in Peoplesoft. Have you ever seen like in Peoplesoft? Because appreciation is nothing. There is nothing called appreciation in Peoplesoft.
There is no nothing like appreciation in the Peoplesoft basically, because we are not sure like this product, like we cannot define a rule like this will be increased by 10% or this will be increased by the 20%. But
Okay, that's
this
fine. That's
all,
fine.
yeah.
That
So
thing
this
I
all
just want to clarify.
basically,
Yeah, that thing I just want to clarify. That's fine. Yeah. You
yeah,
continue. Yeah.
yeah, sure. Then, so we are going to receive the invoice from the vendor. So the same invoice we are going to create as a voucher in our system. Once after creating the voucher in our system, so we have to pay this voucher. So basically before going ahead of the payment of this voucher, this is a matching process. Like the matching process verifies the voucher with your PO and receipt and the inspects. So according to this, it will match this voucher, and then only if the voucher is matched, then only system is going to release the payment for that particular vendor. Unless until if it is not matched, we are not going to pay anything to the vendor. So what are the various matching processes available in the Peoplesoft? We have basically two-way matching process and three-way matching process and then four-way matching process. So what is two-way matching process? The two-way matching process compares only purchase orders and then vouchers. Why purchase orders and vouchers? Basically, there are two types of PO. One is goods PO and another one is services PO. What is goods PO? The goods PO is basically we physically receive an item, whereas in the services PO we are not going to receive any item basically from the vendor. So we are just going to receive the service. Let's say the scenario is like this. So my corporation, let's say I am from TCS. So my organization is TCS. I got a project from Apple for implementing iOS 10. So Apple said, you implement iOS 10, I'm going for us, or you give the production support for the iOS 10. So I'm supporting the iOS 10 for the Apple as being a part of that. So I'm just providing my service. I'm not going to send any goods back to them. So in that case, there is no receipt, there is no inspections. So in this case, I don't need to create any receipts. I don't need to create any inspects. It's just a service. In the service level, I'll specify, okay, my contract with Apple is, so I'll say, so let's consider it is Apple. Apple release the purchase order to TCS saying that I have a contract with the TCS for the span of 1 year. For the 1 year contract, it's like a 1 million. The billing rates as provided, and then out of which, so every month I am going to pay. So for the business conditions and all, we are going to specify the PO level. So some organization calls it as a work order. Some organization calls it as a SOW. Some organization calls it as a sales order also. So it's all depends on the organization terminology. So ideally in a Peoplesoft it's a PO, what we call it as, and then so this PO Apple is going to send to the TCS. Once after receiving this PO from the Apple end, I am authorized to bill this $1 million back to Apple after providing the service. Without providing the service, I cannot bill to the Apple. So this is the one type of PO. Good. This is a services PO. Whereas in the goods PO, physically I'll receive the item. So now, so in case of the service PO, normally we use the two-way matching process. That means we will compare with the voucher and the purchase order. So at any point of time, if voucher is, let's say voucher is exceeding the amount of purchase order which is released, then it will say, hey, you don't have the limit for paying this voucher. It will not process this voucher and it will mark this voucher in error. And then the three-way matching process. So three-way matching process compares your PO, your receipt, and then your voucher. Four-way matching process compares your PO, receipts, inspects, and then your voucher. So these are the various matching process which are available in the Peoplesoft. So how the system knows whether it has to go to the two-way, whether it has to go through the three-way, or whether it has to go through the four-way. So that we can specify at the PO level, where we have to specify whether it has to go with the two-way, or whether it has to go with the three-way, or whether it has to go with the four-way. So we have to specify at the PO level. Based on that, the PO matching process runs. Once after the matching process runs, then what voucher will be set the status to the matched. Once after this is matched, we are going to pay to the vendor. So this is about the payment. So with this, so the procurement will be over. So this again, so this will be sent to the GL books for the auditing, means for the books keeping. So how you will send this to the GL? So there is a voucher processing process which will create the debit entry and the credit entry, and then there will be a payment posting process which will create the debit entry and credit entry. So ideally what this debit entry, this credit entry, it talks about at the end, it's like we will be having expenses account and control account and the cash account. It will increase the amount in the expense account and it will reduce your cash, means ideally it will be your bank account. So bank account is linked up with one account number in a Peoplesoft. So it will reduce the cash in your bank account. And then control account. Control account is nothing but it will show you whether you have fully paid for that specific voucher or not. That is a control account. So ideally, so we will take all this and then we will generate all this in the accounts payable module, and then we will send it to the general ledger module. So in the GL module, we will create the journal for this specific process, and then we will create the journals. So again, it will be based on the months. If it is the month is open, means like for this month, like my accounting period, right now I am processing the October transactions. So my accounting period is from the October 1st to 31st October. That's it. So I cannot process the June month transaction, July month transaction. I cannot put my money, debits and credits in the month of June or July or something like that. In case if there is any change in any deduction in my cash, then I have to do it in the accounting period which is open. So the current accounting period is for me is 1st October to 30th of October. So this is the period. So I'll process my transaction. So this is the overall flow. So of the procure to pay cycle. This is the procurement cycle. So later we are going to see how we are going to create the requisitions and how you are going to create the buyers, requesters, how you are going to set up the vendors, and how you are going to set up the banks, and on top of it how you are going to create the requisitions and the items, how you are going to create. We are going to see all of those stuff in the coming classes. So that is about the overview of the procure cycle. So do you guys have any questions on this?
So you're going to cover the setup part also, right?
Yes, I'm going to cover the setup as well.
Okay.
Basically the training it's like this. Basically first we are going to cover the functionalities of the module, then we are going to talk about the setups.
Okay, that's fine.
Anjani, you have any questions? Anjani, can you unmute and talk if you're speaking?
Hi Sukendra, this is Anjali.
Yeah, Anjani. So are you clear about with the process or any questions you have?
I just want to know, means what modules come under this entry to pay?